welcome to Pilates for gardeners today. So I'm just going to do half an hour Pilates, just focusing on some of the muscles that the gardeners just need to strengthen, and then a little bit of a stretch out for you guys as well. So I hope you enjoy. So we'll just start feet together. Just do a little bit of a warm up. So we're going to bring feet together, come up nice and tall through the spine. We're going to go toes out, heels out, so your feet are hip width apart. And just gently find that equal pressure between forefoot and hind foot. So just rock forward and backwards. Feel that weight transfer one way and the other. And we're going to come to that midpoint where you feel you've got equal pressure through both areas of the feet. And then just same, going left to right. Feel that weight transfer side to side and come back to that midpoint. We're going to keep those knees nice and soft, so make sure you've not locked your kneecaps out. Be just nice and soft through the knees, long through the legs. And I want you to think about that pelvis. Imagine your pelvis like a big bowl, marble at the bottom. And we're going to roll that marble forwards, arching through the lower back, and we're going to roll it backwards, lengthening through the lower back. So feeling how far you go in each direction, moving through the back, and then come to that midpoint, marble at the bottom of the bowl, back just lengthening down, front just gently pulling up. And just loosen off through the shoulders, a couple of circles in either direction. And then we're going to lift those shoulders up, glide the shoulder blades back together, and then relax them down your back. We're going to think about lengthening through the spine, all the way from the pelvis, through the back of the spine, back of the neck. Good, all the way through. From here, we're going to engage through those core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor, in through the belly button. And then from there, we're going to come into footstool. So breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to bend both knees and sit that bottom back behind you. And then lift the heels. Then we're going to lengthen all the way up tall on your toes, and then come back down again. So breathing out, bend through your knees. Breathing in, lift your heels. Breathing out, lengthen all the way through. Breathing in, coming back down again. Good. Breathing out. In, lift your heels. Out, lengthen all the way through. In, coming back down. Good. Keep that control, keep those core muscles switched on. Make sure you're not lengthening or not arching through that lower back, so keep that long spine. Breathing out, breathing in, lengthen through, control down. Let's do two more. Good, last one. Good, well done. Okay, and then from there, keep those feet hip width apart. Sit soft knees, pelvis nice and neutral. Lengthen through the spine, drop the shoulders down. I want you to imagine you're carrying a big tray full of all your most precious things, and you're not going to drop anything. So we're going to engage through those core muscles, keep the knees soft, and I just want you to reach that tray away from you, keeping the spine nice and long. Squeeze through the bottom, up tall through the spine, bring that tray in back towards you. So lengthening through and then coming up tall. Keep the knees soft, keep the core switched on so you're stabilising through that lower back. Shoulders down away from your ears, breathing out. Squeeze through the bottom, push the hips forward, up tall through the spine. Good, breathing out. And it doesn't matter how far you go with that tray, so just as far as you feel comfortable going. So if that's to here, and then coming up tall, think about almost reaching forward to the back of those flower beds. Squeeze and come back up again. Good, breathing out. Squeeze, push the hips forward, come up tall, good. Keep that tray nice and flat. Good, let's do one more. Squeeze through the bottom, push the hips forward, come up nice and tall. Good, well done. Okay, so we're going to bring those feet together. Come up nice and tall, pelvis neutral, soft knees, lengthen through the spine. And then from there, what we're going to do is just bring one leg, and if you will need to hold on to a chair, if you need to have a chair next to you or hold on to the window ledge of the wall, you can do. Core switched on, and we're going to peel your right heel up and lift that right foot up in front of you. And from there, so again, how far you go is up to you. We're just going to roll forward. So you're going to lengthen that heel down long. You can tap the toe to the floor if you want to, but think nice long line from the crown of the head to your heel, and then you're going to come back up nice and tall again. That right leg up in front of you. So you're going to lengthen down, keep the spine nice and long, heel down, coming back up again. Now if you want to work slightly harder, you can lengthen more parallel behind you, but work with where you're comfortable. So find maybe a spot to focus on, and then you can control, lengthen, and come back up. If you're holding on, just try and work that control through your core as much as you can. Good. Breathing out, breathing in, come back up. Good. So it might be here, that's fine. If you want to challenge yourself more, lengthen that heel out, all the way long from crown of the head to the spine. Let's do 2 more. Good. Last one. And relax down. Good. Have a little loosen off through the legs. It's hard work, that one on the legs. So, but it's just again working on that control of leaning forward. When you're leaning forward doing all your gardening, your core needs to be really strong to support that lower back. And if you get tired, or those core muscles get tired, that's when your back starts aching. Right, so let's come into the other leg, and I'll show you just a nice little stretch that you can do if you've been in the garden, and you can just counterbalance all that leaning forward. So feet together, up nice and tall, pelvis nice and neutral, lengthen through the spine, shoulders down, core switched on, pulling up through the pelvic floor, in through the belly button. We're going to peel that left heel up off of the floor and bring that left knee up in front of you. Control as you lean forward, lengthening that left leg behind you, and then controlling back up, just standing on one leg, lifting that right leg, the left leg, in front. You can work more parallel to the floor, or you can keep that toe coming to the floor, lengthen through and come back up. Think again about that bottom muscle, those bottom muscles working to bring you up tall. Squeeze your bottom, come up tall, lift that left knee up. Lengthening through, holding onto the chair gently if you need to, or you can just come back, toe to floor. Think about lengthening through heel. Good. Keep those core muscles switched on, back nice and long. Use the core muscles, use the bottom muscles. Good. Let's do 2 more. Good, and then relax that foot to the floor. Good, well done. Have a little loosen off through the legs again. So obviously again, when we're leaning forward all the time, we want to be able to counterbalance and loosen off through the back. So you put your hands onto the top of your bottom and base of the lower back. And this is just a nice stretch. You can do this whenever your back feels a little bit achy or stiff. And we're going to just gently, I want you to still think about engaging through those core muscles. You're going to think about tucking that tailbone down, and we're going to lean backwards, just gently supporting yourself. And I only want you to go as far as you feel comfortable going. Just extending. So when we do all of that leaning forward, do a little bit of a stretch. Don't hold it for too long, just as far as you're comfortable going, and then coming back up again. Good. Don't forget about those core muscles. Think about lengthening the back of the spine, tucking imaginary tail between your legs. Let's do a couple more. Good. Good, well done. Okay, so we're going to come down onto the mat and just do a little bit of core strengthening and then also a bit of glute strengthening as well. So when we come down onto the mat, we're going to make sure that our feet are in line with knees and hips, and when we come down onto our back, our shoulders as well. So just making sure that as you come down, you're in a nice straight line. And from there, we're going to lengthen through the back of the neck. We're going to drop those shoulders away from our ears, snuggle them down underneath your rib cage, down away from, so ears, shoulders down away from ears. And then just lift your bottom up and lower your back down onto the mat. So from here, we're going to just think about that nice neutral pelvic position. So I want you to imagine that directly underneath your belly button, between your spine and the mat, there's a little marshmallow, nice and soft and squidgy. And directly underneath your breastbone, between the spine and the mat, there's a 2p coin. And I want you to squash down onto that marshmallow, that 2p coin. So you can feel your tummy muscles working, your back pushes down onto the mat. And then we're going to go the other way. We're going to lift that belly button and breastbone up. So you can just slide your fingers underneath your back, and you're going to think about just lifting away from that 2p coin, that marshmallow. So squash back down, work through those tummy muscles. And then when you lift away, you'll feel like your back muscles will be working to lift you away from the mat. We're going to come down then and bring that belly button down, so you're squashing at least halfway onto that marshmallow, maybe squash a little bit further down onto that marshmallow. And then we're also going to make sure that that breastbone's down, so your spine's in contact with that 2p coin underneath it. And I just want you to make sure, so take a bit of a mental note of what you feel of the pressure of your back onto the mat. So from there, if you feel like nice equal pressure through both sides of the spine, a little bit of pressure through the shoulder blades, definitely kind of through the hips, and maybe a little bit through the lower back. What I don't want as you're working is that you lift that belly button and breastbone away from that marshmallow, that 2p coin. So we're just going to come into double leg stretch. We'll start with just a lower level and build up. So from this starting position, we're going to engage through the core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. I'm going to float both hands straight up towards the ceiling. Palms facing one another and hands shoulder width apart. So from here, breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to lengthen both arms, one leg away from us. Then you're going to circle your arms round as your leg comes back to a starting position. Lengthening opposite leg, both arms away, circle round and come back up. You're going to breathe out as you lengthen, in as you circle round and come back up. Good. So you can either keep here at this level, making sure that back stays nice and kind of in the same contact of your back onto the mat. So make sure you're not lifting off that marshmallow, that 2p coin. If you want to come into that next level, then float both arms straight up towards the ceiling. Keep that core switched on. I'm going to float one leg to tabletop, bring the other one up to join it. This will load the spine more. If it doesn't feel right, bring your feet back onto the floor. From here, breathing out, lengthen one leg, both arms through, circle the arms round, and leg comes back up. So you can lengthen towards the opposite wall, the further away from the ceiling you point the leg, the harder it is. Didn't explain that very well, sorry. So if you point up towards the ceiling, it's slightly easier. If you come out more parallel to the floor, it's harder, and you'll feel like your back might want to start lifting off of that marshmallow, that 2p coin. So find a level that works for you, that you can control, but you feel it's challenging you a little bit. Breathing out as you lengthen, in as you come round. Good. Good. Keep that contact of your back on the mat. Let's do one more on either side. Last one. Good, well done. And from there, just hug those knees in towards your chest. If your feet are on the floor, bring one knee towards your chest and then bring the other one up to join it. Again, just hug those knees into chest. And then pop hands on knees, just a big circle of those knees over your chest. Good. And then back in the other direction. Good, and then hug knees into chest one more time. Good. Good. Lower one leg down. And bring the other one down to join it. Good. So from here then we're going to come into shoulder bridge and start working through those bottom muscles again. So just make sure that the neck's nice and long, those shoulders are dropped down away from your ears, and you're coming down onto that marshmallow, that 2p coin, onto the mat. And then from there, feet are slightly closer to your bottom for this one. So have your feet as close to your bottom as your knees are comfortable to go, but still hip width apart. And we'll have our arms down by our side. And we're going to imagine the spine like a string of pearls. So each vertebrae in your spine is one pearl on the string of pearls. I'm going to think about them from that lowest vertebrae down at the coccyx, the sacrum, and peeling up. So from that starting position, we're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, engage through the core muscles, pulling up through the pelvic floor, down through the belly button. Breath in. As you breathe out, we're going to really push that belly button down towards the spine, spine down into the marshmallow, marshmallow down into the mat, and you'll feel your coccyx will start to peel, and then your sacrum. I'm going to lift one vertebra at a time, squeezing through the bottom, shortening through the tummy, and then peeling up. Now I don't want you to lift too high with that breastbone. You want that spine to stay nice and long, so no lifting breastbone up towards the ceiling. Then we're going to lower breastbone down towards the mat to start with, and then really imagine your spine like a string of pearls, one vertebra at a time as you come down, shortening through the tummy, squeezing through the bottom, and controlling each vertebra at a time down onto the mat. Good. And again, squeezing down, squash that marshmallow down into mat, peel the coccyx, sacrum, shorten through the tummy, squeeze through the bottom, one vertebra at a time as you peel up. Don't overlift through that breastbone, and then lowering breastbone down onto that 2p coin first, shorten through the tummy, squeeze through the bottom, one vertebra at a time as you control down onto the mat. Good, and again, peeling up. Good, well done, and then control down. Good, let's do one more. Really visualize that spine like a string of pearls. One pearl at a time, lifting up, shorten through the tummy, squeeze through the bottom, lengthen all the way through the spine, don't overextend, don't arch through that lower back, and then dropping down, breastbone first. Make sure you keep breathing, shorten through the tummy, one vertebra at a time, coming back down onto the floor. Good. Good, well done. So I'm going to give you the option here, and it depends on your shoulders and how you feel. So we can either do glute dips in this position, where we're going to lift up, hands across chest, and then tap bottom down and lift up again. So really thinking of squeezing the bottom and push those hips up towards the ceiling, tap to the mat, squeeze and push. Or if you feel able to, we're going to come onto our bottom, have our hands out behind us. Feet hip width apart still. And we're going to engage through the core. If this doesn't feel right through your shoulders, then don't do it. It's just a slightly harder version in terms of loading through the arms and working through the bottom muscles. But come down onto the mat like I just showed you if you need to. From here, core switched on. We're going to lift up so we come into that little reverse bridge. And then from there, you're going to tap your bottom down. You don't have to go all the way to the mat. Push those hips up towards the ceiling. Come down, push hips up towards the ceiling. Tap down. Not all the way down to the mat, you don't have to go all the way down. Squeeze and lift. Keep those knees in line with your feet, make sure they're not coming in together, pushing out to the side. If that's too much for shoulders, remember you can come into that shoulder bridge position, and there you'll be tapping your bottom to the mat, squeeze and lift up. Either way, whichever you're doing, you should feel it through those bottom muscles. Tap down, squeeze and lift. Tap down, squeeze and lift. Good. Keep breathing. Let's do 3 more. And last one, we're going to hold that lift up, whichever position you're in, hold that lift, squeeze through the bottom, push the hips up towards the ceiling. We'll go for 5, 4, 3, 2, And one, lower your bottom down to the mat. Good, nice, well done. Okay, come back down onto your back if you're not already there. We're going to bring the knees as wide as the, we're going to bring the feet as wide as the mat. And then from there, we're going to bring our arms out wide. We're going to roll both knees across to one side. And in this position, you can either hold it here. If you want to increase the stretch, you can rest that lower foot onto the top outer thigh, and it will just open up a bit more through that top hip, and it may well open up through that lower hip a bit as well. So not if it's uncomfortable, just stay feet onto the floor, but if you feel like you want that extra stretch, pop that lower foot onto the outside of the upper thigh. A couple of big breaths in there. And then gently uncross the legs if they're crossed, bring the knees back through to the centre, and then we're going to go to the other side, rolling the knees down towards the floor. You can either hold it there if you want to increase the stretch, that lower foot onto the outside of the thigh of the upper leg. Good. Nice big breaths in there. Good, well done. Gently uncross the legs if they're crossed. Bring those knees back through to the centre. Good, well done. Okay, from there, we're going to gently just come round onto all fours. I'm going to have a bit of a stretch. So, hands underneath shoulders, hips directly above knees. Drop those shoulders away from your ears, nice long spine. And then we're going to come into our cat-cow. So we're going to drop chin to chest, lift your breastbone, lift the belly button, imagine that tail, tuck it between your legs, and then we're going to lift up the other way. So again, curling through, chin to chest, lifting breastbone, belly button, imagine that tail, tuck it between your legs, and then lifting up the other way. Good, and again, curling through. Lifting up through tailbone, draw a line forward with the nose, lower breastbone and belly button. Good. And then lengthen through the spine again. And this time we're going to come into like a little puppy posture. So we're going to lift those sitting bones up towards the ceiling. Take your arms out in front. We're going to look forward and lower your breastbone down towards the mat, and looking forward, lifting those sitting bones high up towards the ceiling. Just opening up through the upper back. A couple of nice big breaths in there. Good, one more big breath in. And then we're going to gently walk those hands back up towards you. Good. So we're going to do a little bit of a hip opening stretch. But I will give you alternatives if these don't feel right for you. So if you're happy to on hands and knees, we're going to bring our right foot in between our in between your right hand and your left hand. So in between right foot up between your hands. And then from there, we're going to place your hands onto your knee. We're going to push that left hip forward. Imagine you've got a tail, tuck it between your legs. I'm going to lift forward with that spine, so forward and up, really lengthen through the spine. Just feel a big opening through the front of that left hip. Now, if this isn't comfortable for you, then you can come into the mermaid sitting position, feet over to the left side, and you're going to bring left heel to left bottom, knee back behind you, and turn away from that side. And that should feel like you're opening up through the front of that right hip. So work whichever one works for you in terms of trying to open up through the front of the hip. Now if you're in this position, it feels nice and you feel you can bring your heel to your bottom, then you can add that one in as well, but that again might just not be available to you. So I don't mind where you are, but you should feel a big opening stretch to the front of that left hip. Good. One more breath in. Good. Now if you're in that mermaid sitting position, stay there, stretch for a little bit longer, and I'm going to come back to you in a second. We're going to come up nice and tall, and then just gently hands onto knees, and then bring hands either side of your right foot. I'm going to place the left hand down onto the mat and open up through that right side. Fingertips up towards the ceiling. Keep that left shoulder in towards the right knee and opening up. So hold that for a couple of breaths, or if you're in that mermaid sitting position, and I'm just going to get you to open up this way instead. So reaching the left fingertips up and over, really opening through that left side. Okay, so just working in a position that's comfortable for you. If you're in that nice rotation twist, one more breath in, and as you breathe out, bring hands back down onto the mat. Good. We're going to bring that right knee back onto the mat, and then bring the left knee forward. And from there, we're going to bring your hands onto your thigh, lower down through that tailbone, really tuck it down between your legs. Push the right hip forward, up tall through the spine, feel that nice opening stretch through the front of the right hip. Or if you're in your sitting position, then bring both legs to the right side, and just bring that heel to bottom. Push the knee, knee comes back, push the hip forward, squeeze through those bottom muscles, and then turn away from that side to increase the stretch. Okay? And then come back into a nice opening kneeling lunge if that's available to you. You can bring your heel up towards your bottom just to really open up through those quads a little bit more. Good. And then gently relax off, hands to the knee, and then hands back down either side of the foot. And then place your right hand on the floor. I'm going to open up through the left hand up towards the ceiling, and just hold it there and take a few breaths in there. And if you're in your seated position, relax off that heel to bottom stretch and bring your arm up and over and really open up through that right side. A few big breaths in there. Just want to give you options in terms of what's available to you. If knees are sore, then you might not want to be stretching on your knees, so bear with me in terms of giving variations, but I just want it to be accessible to everyone. Good. If you're in that nice twist, then bring that hand back down to the floor. I'm going to bring knees back down and just have a sit back onto heels, arms out in front. If you're in this stretch here, opening up, last breath in, coming back up and over, good. And then if you're happy to, we're going to come back into that extended child's pose as well. So sit back onto your heels, forehead and breastbone come down towards the mat, arms out in front. Couple of big breaths in, really opening up into those lower ribs. Good, last one. And then you can just gently come up into kneeling. Good, well done. And so hopefully that just gives you a little bit of strengthening for those typical gardening postures and a bit of stretching to open up what gets tight when we are in those gardening postures. Good, well done. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.